Shalom, shalom to the 144,000, the elect. Before I get started, let me give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokaha Kodash, the one to the apostles, nails, the great millstone. Peace and blessing to the brothers that are preaching the truth in the four winds of the earth. May Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, have mercy upon you. I am I'm on this guy page, Sean Fu. Sean Fu. Yeah, you heard it. Sean Fu. The name of the video, as Washington panics over Treasury self-off major U.S. bank just flipped against U.S. assets. So hey, the guy has this Chinese guy. He got quite a bit should I say, I don't know what he do. I listened to about 4 minutes of it, almost 5 minutes of it, and I said I'm gonna do a video on it. So that's all. And he's going over the concerning the treasury and the securities, held by foreigners, which is nothing but bonds. So let's start it over. Just listen up. Oh, let me turn this up. Sean Fu. Here we go.
Is everyone's assumptions. And because of that, the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is in panic mode. He's proposing a plan to save the bond market without relying on foreigners. Needless to say, this should ring the alarm bells and sounds the hyperinflation alarm if it really comes true. Should all the bonds be bought domestically if the basket blows up? It would be the US economy that collapses, not the world. But it makes sense for the concern. We had the biggest rise in yield since 2001 on the 10-year. Massive liquidity concerns were bound because people were selling, but not many people were looking to buy. And as a result, the 30-year almost hit 5%, while the 10-year went well past 4.5%. The problem here is the uncertainty. Over the past few days, we have seen an insane amount of flip-flops. First was the exemption of electronics like smartphones.
Flip-flop. Did Trump doing what? Pushing out threats, wishy-washy, threats, like Apostle Paul say, his threats ain't working no more. Making threats. Hey, Russia, China, and Iran, they just recently just had a meeting with one another, and they ain't putting that on the news. I ran across a couple of guys' channel, and I verified that they did. They did. And Trump, he one thing to the next. He's trying to deal with Harvard, Harvard University, trying to I don't know. He already was trying to get rid of the education department. But ain't Harvard is the richest university in America, man? I think they are. Let's see something. People got plenty of money. Let me see. Let me turn this thing up. Harvard University wealth.
Harvard University has a very large endowment with a market value of just over $53 billion.
$53 billion, man. They don't need, Trump trying to take the funding away or something dealing with, they don't need that. Let me read a little of this here. Harvard University has a very large endowment with a market value of just over $53 billion, man. This endowment is a major source of funding for what? For the university, providing a significant portion. I bet y'all ain't know that, did you? You didn't know this university had $53 billion. I know y'all ain't know it. This endowment is a major source of funding for the university, providing the significant portion of its operating expenses and with various other programs. It's not a single check account, but rather a collection of over 14,000 individuals' endowment funds, many with specific purposes. So hell, they don't need no type of government funding. Shit, they got too much money as it is. Let's hear a little more of this. They're gonna go. He's I really wanted to deal with the tariff and all that, but hey, DJ Trump, he everywhere. He messing with the cars. He messing with the parts. He messing with y'all Louis bags and I don't even know. I'm not even familiar with all the names no more, y'all. I haven't had a name brand nothing since the 80s. Only fools flock to labels. There we go.
Then came Lutnick telling the world that those would be rolled back and everyone better brace for a semiconductor war in just 30 days. Is this crazy back and forth that's making everyone just flee from US assets? And now we have Ray Dalio telling us that the entire US system is on the brink. Trust in the existing financial architecture is under serious threat.
And I'm worried about something worse than a recession. We have something that's much more profound. We have a breaking down of the monetary order. We are going to change the monetary.
All right, monetary order. What is that? Let's see what that is, y'all. Money. But let's get a little more. Let me see something here. Monetary order of U.S. Let's see what they're going to give me here. It said the United States monetary order is governed by the Federal Reserve System. There it is. The Federal Reserve governs all the money. The Federal Reserve System, which implements monetary policy, well, it just, in a nutshell, they trying to tear down the dollar. Why? Why are they trying to tear down the dollar? So they can get that new world order in action, in the rolling, and they move kind of fast too. And then what comes with that new world order? Buying and selling. Revelation 13 and 16. Rich or poor, poor or young, rich or poor. Even I be trying. I don't know why I'll butcher this scripture in a minute, right? But hey, a lot of y'all probably know it anyway. Which is we read so much until I should know it backwards and forth. But when you be thinking about precepts and doing all these things, it just don't come to you. Sometimes you just don't get it. Which is Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls of all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in his right hand or in their forehead. This is what they're trying to establish. This is why they're trying to tear the dollar down. This is why they're confusing the people and got everybody in panic mode. Cause this is what you do. Start panic, and then they come in and act like they are the savior, and people get what? Act like they thinking they getting something new and approved, and America's back. No, that's not what it is. Let's read this monetary order again. The United States monetary order is governed by the Federal Reserve System, which implements monetary policy to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. The system operates with the authority granted by the Congress to pursue these economic goals, meaning nothing but what? Taxing your ass to death. Taxing you to death, keeping you poor. Right? Let's hear a little more.
Order, because we cannot spend the amounts of money, so we have that problem. And when we talk about the dollar and we talk about tariffs, we have that. We are having profound changes. Such times are very much like the 1930s. I've studied history, and this repeats over and over again. So if you take tariffs, if you take debt, if you take the rising power challenging the existing power, if you take those factors and look at the factor, those changes in the orders, the systems, are very, very disruptive. How that's handled could produce something that is much worse than a recession.
As such, a sober person would realize the solution. You need to stop the tariff war and to bring back a semblance of sanity in the global trading order.
I chose Wix for my business because of its massive
7, y'all,
scope
say
for
live feed.
functionality.
Plus, you need to cut down the US deficit spending and de-escalate the situation with China. Because if you don't, this exodus of money from the US economy is only going to accelerate. But instead of doing that, Scott Bessent has a new harebrained scheme to save the bond market. And not only is it desperate, it's actually extremely risky for the entire system. He wants to get Wall Street to create a safe space for US government debt, to get major US banks to use up their balance sheet to soak up all the supply of US debt that the world economy is rejecting. At this point, we can see that Bessent has forgotten he was ever hedge fund manager. He's now officially the salesman for the Trump White House. So Bessent's plan is rather simple. He wants to deregulate Wall Street and change their leverage ratio. Simply put, that will allow the big banks to buy even more US debt. He calls this the creation of a new buyer of treasury bonds, one that is more durable and will buy whatever Bessent sells whenever there's an auction. But he must be joking. The first 6 months of the 2025 fiscal year saw an insane deficit of $1.3 trillion. That's the second highest ever since 2021 when we just came out of the pandemic. Despite the talk of deficit reduction, the national credit card is still swiping away like no tomorrow. How can US banks absorb this supply? And if the tariff war continues to get out of hand, foreign buyers will leave the time bomb.
It's going to continue to get out of hand. It's going to continue to do what? And Trump's going to, because why? Trump, listen, man, DJ Trump ain't running nothing, man. The wicked elite, the secret society is running running all things. They're funding wars and everything with what? Because they have a plan, and that plan is them creating this new world order, the system for what? To reboot. So they thinking that they can what? To establish their what? Their birthright. Which is Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai gonna what? Is chop that thing right in half. Huh? Right in half. And what I mean by that? Meaning what? That fire, man. Y'all gonna get that fire over here, man. You know. I pray and hope that Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai spare me in those times. That I am what? Part of the hopeful elect. So let me start off and read a precept of Jeremiah 49. I'm gonna start at verse 7. Because, you know, these devils with their lies, they control the earth through what? Through lies, through fear and lies, and they're very good at it. Because why? They are clearly the I couldn't say the father of lies, but hey, what they are, but that's another story. Jeremiah 49:7. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is wisdom no more in Teman? Now, Teman was, it still is, the Germans, you know, the smart of what? Of Esau. The smarties of Esau. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Concerning Edom, let me see something right quick. Where I want for. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. Ecclesiastes, not what I want. Anyway, concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the Lord Yahweh of hosts, Is wisdom no more in Teman? And again, those were the smart men of Esau Edom, which is what the Germans. Is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perish from the what? The prudent. Prudent mean goes into what? The smart. Now, what's that? Ezekiel. Ezekiel 28 and verse. That's what I wanted, y'all. I was over there, and what's the name? Ezekiel 28 and verse. Esau Edom 28 and verse 3. Yes. Let's see something real quick. Yeah, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. Who are you talking about? Esau Edom. They are wiser than Daniel, especially with Esau possessed that shit. What am I looking for? Esau possessed that ability to what? To deceive. To deceive people. Just think about it. Every year, every 4 years, whatever president, every 4 years, they come back and tell you the same story. And they come back and use the what? Use the same method of controlling the people with the Democrat or Republican lies. It just listen, man. The system where a Democrat or Republican, they all the same damn eagle, man. The same eagle with two wings. One side is what is the right and the left, which is the Democrat and Republic. All this shit is the same, man. This is how they control the masses of people and have you all bickering and talking about and want to take each other out for what? For your lack of what of understanding, which is what you possess. Most of the people over here in America, man, possess nothing but ignorance, man. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. Esau. So now Esau Edom, all of his plans and all of the things that he have been done for these past centuries or whatever, he's been exposed. He's been exposed. He being brought down out of what? Out of rulership, and he's gonna be soon. He's gonna be what? He's gonna be under the feet of us. Yes. Esau Edom would not be in the kingdom standing side by side with no Jakes, man. Which is the so-called black, Hispanics, and natives of this land, man. And y'all need to wake the hell up. Concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the Lord Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Meaning the smart man. Oh yeah, 14, Job. Job 14 and 5 to be exact. Job 14 and 5. Seeing his days are determined. This is what? This is the end of America, which is the daughter of Babylon. Seeing his days are determined. The number of his months are with thee. Thou hast what? Appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. This devil can't go past. He's not going to go past this. They're not going to go past America, man, because America's going to get destroyed, just like the prophets are prophesying and telling you all. This place will get it, and they're going to catch it real soon. Job 21 and 20. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. Everybody see it. Now they see it. Esau, the Edomites, they see it. This is why they're what? And they can't hold back their frustrations and their struggles and not talk about it. This is getting worse and worse by the day. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. Let's hear a little more. I'm gonna come back to this right here. Let's hear a little more of this. I'm gonna come back to this.
With U.S. banks, It's good to remind ourselves of how much treasuries the world actually holds, and these are long-dated bonds that affect the real US economy should yields spike higher. Just take Japan and China for example. China owns 760 billion, while Japan owns nearly 1.1 trillion. Should the tariff war continue, there really isn't a need for either of them to continue buying US bonds. China obviously doesn't want to fund their own containment, so that option is out. Japan also doesn't want to weaken their yen, plus they will be trading less with the US. The biggest buyers are out, and the rest of the world will also follow suit. Besant's plan is to get banks to fill in the gaps for this shortfall. He wants the banks to load up and keep clipping coupons from the bond yields and hold them for 10 to 30 years until maturity.
Bonds, man, bonds are very important. Ain't no damn treasure over there in no damn in them vaults over there in America. Ain't them but a bunch of damn bonds on all the people's heads. The same thing that that Hitler did with his people, put bonds on all their head and making the people, people are profit, man. That's why, let me see. Yeah, jail. Just say you're going to jail. What processes the effects of starting your process when you go to court? A damn bond. A bond. Hey man, Esau Edom had his system. A lot of people, a lot of so-called white people, they understand this system, but being that they are profiting in the manner that they're profiting, they're not going to expose. You had a few of them that tried to expose the overall aspects of the treasury, the bonds and UCC, Foreign Commercial Code, all of that. They understand that, but most of the people, most of the so-called white people were profiting, so they rather be part of the system than fight the system, because eventually the system gonna get you. Esau make it up as he go, man. So if he's making up as he go, how you can't fight something that's made up daily? You can't fight it. Listen to them more.
But no bank in their right mind will do that in this crazy environment. The only way to get banks to buy treasuries like no tomorrow is in an environment where interest rates are expected to fall. Lower rates means higher bond values, but what do we have today? Crazy trade policy and US-China trade tensions that threatens to spike yields to the moon. And here's how uncoordinated the White House is. They can't decide if there's no exemptions or if exemptions really do exist. They don't know whether they're coming or they're going.
When the tariff rate went up to the full rate of 125 on top of the 20, it was necessary to publish a more detailed list from Customs and Border Protection explaining the rates and how they're applied. There are no exemptions. Everyone pays at least the 20%, and these particular components are being put through a separate process controlled by the Department of Commerce, which is the 232. So this is a sophisticated, elegant, detailed plan to deal with Chinese economic aggression against the...
Let me read that because I ain't read it. President Trump exempts smartphones, computers, and other electronics from a reciprocal tariff. Why? Why is he doing that? Because those damn chips is involved as well. See, them chips. Because that's what he wants. He wants to, all of those things require what? Chips involved with it, right? So they want to continue the study and the, well, they already have it. They got the system. They're just waiting for the right time to implement it for these foods to fall in line. Because most of you foods going to fall in line with the MOTB. You're going to fall right in line with it. Because why? Because that's your you're gonna think that's your way out. When that's gonna be your what? That's gonna be your end when you do that. That's gonna be your end. It's all people is being tried, but especially you Israelites, right? Your faith is that's faith, man. Faith is what you need in these latter days and latter time that we're in, because Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, he trying the earth, man. And you Israelites got to be what? You got to be, it's always, the Heavenly Father is always justified in his judgment for you. Because for one, he controls all spirits. He already know who's going to get destroyed and who's not going to get destroyed. That's not a big secret to the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah, man. It's not a secret to him because this is his movie. This is what he expects. This is what he knows is going to happen. And it's going to happen. Just like the prophets are preaching and giving you all understanding concerning this level of understanding that most people don't understand. All people will not get this truth. Seeing his Job 14 and verse 5 again, seeing his days are numbered, are determined the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot go past. Real quick, let's go back to where was I? I don't know where I'm gonna go. I'll just go here right quick. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, and I'll come back to where I was initially when I started. Okay, this is Ecclesiasticus 10 and verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings and injuries and riches gotten by deceit, everything that Esau Edom has got including the world, he got it all by what? By death and destruction and deceit. And he still continues to what? They never have enough, man. These devil controls every aspect of the money, of the monetary money, and they still not satisfied because why? They want you. They want your body. They want your spirit. They want you to control your spirit because the Heavenly Father is the what? He's the Father of all spirits. They want to be him. But they're going to fail miserably as, like the scriptures say, and we're going to continue to prophesy and warn the people and tell the people what's about to come upon the earth, which is the judgment of the earth. And it's going to happen again, just like we said. Let's hear them more before I go in the other precept.
The United States.
And with this kind of disorder, we can forget about US banks who are still commercial entities from backing Besson's plan. And let's not forget what happened in 2023. If US banks today start buying long-term bonds and demand suddenly crashes, the end result will be disastrous. Bond values would drop and banks that hold a lot of those bonds like SVB would go insolvent. But what does it tell you is the level of desperation that's going around the White House. And Besson knows this. He was a manager of a hedge fund before. So this is very elementary to him. Which brings us to who will be forced to rescue the bond market. And you probably guessed it would be the Federal Reserve. According to Europe's largest asset manager, the Fed will step in if the situation continues to break down. If the 10-year yield continues to rise past the 5% mark, then all bets are off. Amundi believes the Fed will launch a full-scale bond buying should things get crazy enough in the bond market. In other words, we could see another QE money printing event in 2025. Now, will that happen?
See, bonds are important. Bonds are very important because why? Again, the people. There are bonds on all the people's heads, man. All the people's heads. This is how they generate. This is how America makes their big dealings. Say $1 trillion with China. What is they guaranteeing? They guarantee the people is gonna what? Is going to buy these products and that they're gonna buy a specific amount of. It's just like a revolving door, man. It's just like a revolving door. This shit's not hard to. I'm just trying to explain it in the simplest terms that I can because I go to talking about all that other crap. You're not gonna get it. You're not gonna understand it. Not saying I'm the smartest joker that ever trying to give this. especially me being from the South. Get that tongue twisted sometime. But hey, man. But we're in a bond crisis, man. That's going to escalate as the Federal Reserve try to prepare to do a what? The bailout, which is they're going to fail miserably because the system they need the system to reboot and they need the dollar to fall. It's just that simple. Ecclesiasticus 10 and 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. This is why Esau Edom, he knows that he had what? A short time. This is why he's coming down on the people and giving the people hell, including his own. The wicked elite cares about no one but themselves. Why is the earth ashes proud? And who more proud than Esau Edom, the so-called white man? It's not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. Who more covetous than Esau Edom? He never have enough. For such and what? And one setteth his own soul to sell, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels, man. You know, these devils never had morals or any kind of integrity, man. Never. Cast away his bowels. The physician, which is Yahweh Shai, cutteth off a what? A long disease. And that long disease goes into like something in other words, Esau Edom, he's what? He's that counselor of the earth. Huh? America is the counselor of the earth, man. Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. Read that again, verse 10. Ecclesiasticus 10 and 10. The physician, which is Yahweh Shai, cutteth off a long disease, which is, again, I say Esau Edom is what? America is what? Is the counselor of the earth. And he that is today a king, Esau Edom, Babylon, tomorrow shall what? Shall die. Let's hear a little more.
Happen once again, it depends on how much confidence is lost in the US economy. And by all measures, we should be getting a recession this year. Should Trump still escalate the trade war in the middle of that, then he could trigger another exodus of money out of the US debt markets. Then we could see yields easily hit 5% and maybe even trigger Powell to do QE. Now that isn't impossible. The Federal Reserve's hidden mandate is to prevent a total collapse of the system. So they will simply nationalize the debt like Japan and stuff their balance sheet full of US bonds. But that would be horrendous for the dollar and people's buying power. And this is
Fu or Sean Fu understands what's going on. But I don't know if he don't know about the Lord though. You know, the most important thing is the Heavenly Father got the angels ramping up these spirits to do what? To do his bidding. What that is Ezekiel 38. Huh? Ezekiel 38 goes into the Heavenly Father. Excuse me, y'all. Ezekiel 38, which is 38 and 4. Excuse me. And I will turn thee, if I will turn thee back and put hooks into what? Into thy jaws, and I will bring forth in all armies and what? And horsemen. Meaning, again, can't say it enough, he's gonna force these nations to what? And rulers to do what? His bidding, his will. You're gonna do the Heavenly Father's will just as we are prophesying. It's gonna happen. Because the rising powers, which is the rising powers to what? To the existing powers, they're gonna what? Which is who? That BRICS alliance. Hey man, it's a whole lot going on, especially behind the scenes, and a lot that they're not gonna tell you about that's taking place, like Russia and China and Iran meeting. They're not broadcasting that all over the news. And they got all these news broadcasters what? Feeding you a bunch of propaganda. Let's hear it.
This is where we must talk a bit about gold. If the Fed prints, this trend will only continue, the trend of gold prices going up. Now, this should be mighty obvious for everyone. There's a clear reason why the price of gold has been rising, especially so in 2025, and China's central bank buying is just one factor. If you look carefully, it doesn't matter whether the dollar is up or whether the dollar is down. Gold demand keeps driving the price higher. And with the
Why? Because gold is the medium exchange. Gold and silver. That's true money. The dollar is just paper, man. Which is gonna be what? It's gonna be scattered in what? All in the streets, man, real soon. It ain't gonna be no good. Gold is real money, man. It's the medium exchange. That's paper. We make paper value. We make that dollar valuable by what was slaughtering, taking one another's lives, and and fighting, and all kind whatever Esau Edom got us doing over here in this wicked place. That's why the dollar is valued in the manner that it's valued. And all the nations buying oil with the dollar. So the people, the ones that make the money, the dollar, what it is.
The recent plunge in the dollar, it just sent the price above $3,200 an ounce. A higher gold price signals more than just uncertainty. It signals the breakdown of the current world order. The US dollar and treasury market is losing trust like never before.
The fastest growing snack category in the United States.
Slack it, y'all.
It's so crazy that even Goldman expects gold to hit near $4,000 by the middle of next year, 2026, and by the end of 2025, their target is around $3,700. Now, will this happen? Well, if things continue to melt down, this is definitely a big possibility. Goldman sees a 45% chance of a recession, and for reference, JP Morgan's odds are at 60%. And if it does happen, we could see more investors pile into gold investments, and that could lift prices to over $3,800. And that gold buying will be led by the Chinese. During the last 2 weeks, we saw a phenomenal amount of buying from China. The chart just went vertical, and it could go even higher. There are no limits anymore. Investors there just don't trust dollar assets, and the government is telling them to buy gold. So what do you expect? We can all forecast this theme to continue even if Trump U-turns. If we need any more confirmation that things are still bleak, well, Bank of America has an urgent message for everyone. They are bringing...
Again, man, Trump ain't controlling shit, man. Trump ain't controlling anything. Right? Jeremiah 49 and verse 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret place, which is who? The secret society. That's who controls the earth. Trump not controlling anything. Trump is just a puppet. But T.J. Trump is doing a very good job in destroying this system. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places. And he shall not. And he shall not be able to hide. So, as the time goes on, people get more aware concerning the overall aspects of what's taking place and what's going on, because they're gonna squeeze everybody, right? They're trying to squeeze the world, but it's not gonna work. They're trying to squeeze the world. America, do they even have any allies with them, man, besides Israel? Those small hatters. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places. And he what? And he shall not be able to hide himself. Let's go to real quick before I turn the page. 2 Thessalonians 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse, let's see something right here. 2 and 3, I know it's 2 and 3. 2 Thessalonians 2 and, let's see, Timothy. 2 and 3. Second Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. And that falling away first was what? Was us in 70 AD. You can get that account in what? In Luke 21:24. Become falling away, and that what? That man of sin, who's man of sin? Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked, Esau, Edom. Be revealed the son of perdition. The son of perdition, meaning what? Of destruction. That's Esau, Edom. He's destined for what? To be destroyed. And in a latter time, what? After service for 1,000 years, he just said 1,000, maybe he might go 1,500 years. You know, right? Of being what? Being under the feet of everyone. Who has that son of perdition? Who has put more people to death than Esau, Edom, the so-called white man? No one. No one. Verse 10 again. But I have made Esau bare, and I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. With that 64, I think it's Psalm 64:1. Yeah, Psalm 64. 64 and verse 1. Hold up, y'all. Yeah, 64 and 1. Hear my voice, O thy power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from what? From fear of the enemy, which is what? All of the nations. Because again, we are what? We still to this day we're under the feet of all of the nations. You know, all of the things that are going on. Hey, we already at the bottom, so it ain't gonna affect us one way or another. It's gonna affect Eve though, which is the so-called black woman. It's gonna affect you. You already feeling the squeeze.
In the gloom, they are bringing in the doom. And in their latest warning, it's time to sell into S&P rallies until the trade war is gone. That the US stock market is still fundamentally weak, and a further collapse might be on the cards. It might be imminent. So how bearish is the bank? At least this time, they gave us a price target to really anchor our expectations. The index will continue falling down to 4,800 points, which would be a good time to go long for a shallow recession. But the follow-up statement is very concerning here. Investors are afraid of a collapse in earnings, and that could send the S&P crashing down to 4,000. And truth be told, we are all living day to day. Everything from bond yields to stock prices are controlled by one man and his team, and that's Donald Trump, Scott Bessent, Navarro, and Lutnick. This is your dream team. But after what we have seen over the last month, things aren't exactly encouraging. Trade policy is very haphazard. The White House doesn't know whether they are coming or going. And remember what drives stock prices for the US market? It's the narrative of exceptionalism plus company earnings. Well, the narrative is starting to unwind, so stock multiples could come crashing down. However, on the earnings side, major banks are cutting their estimates. And should it really be a surprise here? US consumers.
You notice since this declining, you see a lot of so-called white people on the streets, and you see a lot of what so-called black people. Well, you know why I call them so-called, because nobody white, nobody black. You see a lot of black people buying what these 30-year mortgages, some 35-year mortgages at this present moment. And them banks, once them banks try to recoup, once they close, they taking everything. They're taking everything. And this place is not going another 30 years. And this place like going another 3 years to my 30. This place is over with. The Heavenly Father is slow grinding this whore, man. Slow grinding them. Which is Revelation 17. It goes into what America being what that whore. That the other nations are gonna what? The other nations are gonna I'm trying to watch what I was saying, but hey, what the hell? I've been going off anyway, so what does it matter? America's gonna get bombed, man, like no other. Huh?
Consumers are tapped out, and some of the tariffs started in March. Now, Citigroup has given a slew of profit downgrades to US companies, the worst in 3 years. At Morgan Stanley, they have also downgraded earnings per share of the S&P from $271 to $257, an 8% drop. And as earnings continue to crash, plus investors moving away from US equities, prices could fall much steeper than we think. This might not
Investors, meaning the rich, moving from what? Moving from the rich controls everything, controls everything, right? But most of them know what's going on. But hey, but they still gonna have to what? They all gonna have to be part of that system, which is that new world order. Nobody escapes here on earth with Esau, Edom, except for the righteous, which is the elect. The elect is not going to take it, but most of the world will take it. But Babylon is the main concern of what? Of these times, because this place got to go before the kingdom of heaven be established.
not be our garden variety recession or correction.
I'm at the Home Internet Awards.
Go again. Can't control these commercials, y'all.
It's like T-Mobile's advanced cybersecurity.
And you're there for me 24/7, like T-Mobile's personal tech support.
Damn, y'all forgot to hit the skip.
And can the White House reverse this? At this point, a recession is baked into the cake, but reversing the trade war is the only way to make it less painful and shorten the length of the recession. However, even that isn't a guarantee. Everything in the US markets today is dislocated. Reality and fundamentals, they are a thing of the past. And if we observe the financial conditions in the US, we are seeing big warning signs blaring in front of us. The amount of money available today has fallen back to the 2020 levels just before the big plunge. In other words, the availability of and the cost of financing have worsened. There's less money around to borrow, and the cost of borrowing that money is getting much more expensive. It's a big reason why earnings estimates are under pressure and why stock prices are caught in this limbo pattern. Everyone is bracing for impact. But more importantly, trying to get banks to buy US bonds won't solve the problem. It'll just trap the US into a Japan-like situation where there's no escape. Today, 33% of total US debt is held by foreign investors. This includes central banks and other buyers outside the US. The domestic financial sector accounts for 31%. Imagine the insanity if over 50% of total outstanding debt is held by US financial institutions. All it takes is for another interest rate shock to bring down the entire system.
See, it's going down the entire system. So all you all got your little swiping your little cards, that these banks giving you, and all your little money. It ain't safe. You're gonna find yourself, boy. When they crash, you gonna crash, and a lot of you are gonna delete yourself, like they doing. But you're gonna do it on a larger scale, because you don't know what to do.
Now, Besson is still denying reality about the dollar and the treasury meltdown. However, the panic can be visibly seen on his face when asked directly about the reserve currency.
Concerned at this moment about the US dollar or the US Treasury losing safe haven asset?
No, look,
We're still a global reserve currency.
we are still a global reserve currency. We have a strong dollar policy. The dollar can go up and down. If you go and look back at President Trump's first term, I don't remember the exact number, but the dollar in 2017 went down, I can't remember, 7, 8, 9.
Let me read this. It say, Besant, I have learned not to look at what happens over just a week, because daily what's going on? Everything. I mean, something is changing every day.
Percent, and then once the tax bill was done, took off for the remainder of his term.
The dollar today is still weak and swap spreads are collapsing. And if Wall Street buys all these bonds and it's time to sell, there'll be no one on the other side they'll be there to buy. All their balance sheets would melt faster than Swiss cheese in a hot oven. But let me know what you think. Will the banks really listen to Besant and buy all those bonds? And is the US economy still in the danger zone?
It's over with, man. So, hey, let's get back here. Make these precepts, and I'm going to close this out, man. I want to put on here. Let's see something, y'all, real quick. 1 second, y'all. I'll put this on here. Alright, where I'm at? Jeremiah 49:11. Leave thy fatherless children. I will preserve them alive. And let thy widow trust in me. Towards the Israelites. But during this time, starting with the 144,000, the elect, this is who Yahushua is coming here to what? To save. To give what? Salvation to. So the world will not receive salvation, man. Come out of it. And you are not saved until Yahushua determine who's going to be saved. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, they, the Israelites, whose judgment was not to drink of the cup, have assuredly drunken. And they drunk as hell. They lost, they confused, they don't know what to do. We are the most lost people that exist here on the planet today. Everybody know who the hell we are, everybody know what's going on, but us. As a whole, most of us are dumbed down and gonna remain ignorant to what Yahweh shall come here and burn this place, man. Has surely drunken, and art thou he, though he that shall altogether, go unpunished, thou shalt not go unpunished. You're not gonna go unpunished, but thou shalt what? Surely drink of it. Esau Edom is gonna what? Gonna surely drink of that cup. He's gonna drink like no other. He's gonna drink like no other. Go down to verse 16. 15. Let's start at 13. For lo, I will make thee, which is Jeremiah 49:15. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, and despised what? Among men. Thy trembleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thy heart, O thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, Esau Edom, that holdeth the height of the hill, thou should what? Should have make thy nest as high as the eagle. We know that that's their symbol. I will bring thee down from thence, saith the Lord Yahweh. Also as Edom shall be a desolation. That's a miracle. Every one that goeth, you know, this is future prophecy. You know that the over there the land of Edom, right? That it's not desolate. These things are not desolate. Why? Why? Because the scriptures speak on concerning he's gonna make Edom shall be a desolation. That's future prophecy talking about a miracle. Everyone that goeth by it, you can read that account in Revelation 18. Everyone that goes by it shall what? Shall be astonished. They're gonna be amazed, man. Damn, man, they done burn it down. No more getting rich. No more laughing and do what you want to do, be what you want to be. It's over with. Also, Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by it shall what? Shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. And those plagues are gonna be what? Those nuclear missiles, the chariots of fire, and which is the scripture speak about concerning what? The fire. That's the fire. That's that everlasting fire. Your body burning until what? Until it turns into ashes. You're going to get zapped by what? Those lasers coming from the what? The chariots. That's the everlasting fire. Again, the everlasting fire is not under the ground. That's ignorant dogma that's been taught by you, by your massa. So, man, I'm going to close this out. So on that note, they call halal Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai by Hashem, Rakah Kudash, Shalom.